Dear students, welcome to the next lecture in this course on signals and systems. In the last lecture, we studied some of the properties, some of the LTI system properties in terms of the impulse response. So, in this lecture, we'll try to solve some numerical problems based on those properties. Okay, so the first question is uh, in let me just write the question, then I will explain. This is the impulse response of a particular system which is given to you. Ht equals to e raised to the power minus 4t ut minus 2. The question is that you have to determine whether this system is causal and stable. Okay, so you have to find out whether this system is causal or not, and similarly for stability as well, we just have to find out. Okay, so in solving this problem, you will just use the property that were discussed in the last lecture. Okay, so pretty much straightforward it is, that this system is causal. Why? Because ht is equal to 0 for t less than 0, isn't it? So this system is a causal system because you can see that ht equals to 0 for t less than equal to 0. So when we were discussing the property, the property of causality in terms of the impulse response, so there we had seen that if this ht, that is impulse response, is 0 for t less than 0, then the system is causal system. So from here we can see that since the ut minus 2 is attached here, so obviously this will be 0 for t less than 0, and that is why we have written directly that this system is a causal system. Okay, now you have to check for the stability. So for stability, you have to calculate integral ht dt. Okay, and that must be finite. Okay, so you just uh, write this e raised to the power minus 4t u of t minus 2 dt. Okay, so if you will solve it, you will get it as e raised to the power minus 8 over 4, and that is less than this infinity, and that means that it's a finite value. So what does it mean? That the given system is stable also. Okay, so this given system is causal and stable both. Now let's see the next problem. Okay, next is given as ht equals to e raised to the power minus 6t u of 3 minus t. Okay, now this is slightly different notation which you are seeing here. Okay, so you can see here that this ht is not equal to 0 for t less than 0. Okay, so this is written as u of 3 minus t. You can also write it as e raised to the power minus 6t u of minus t plus 3. Okay, so this will be non-zero for t less than 0, and this will simply mean that this system will be a non-causal system, since this is violating the condition for being causal. Okay, and similarly, when you will solve this integral for just looking at the stability, so you will also find it that this will become equal to infinity. Okay, so that will mean that the given system will also be an unstable system. Okay, so this is very much straightforward or easy. You just have to put the values and just see that whether it is the integral is converging or not. Okay, so this is how these problems are solved. So the problems which we discussed was for continuous time system. Now let us look to problems for the discrete time LTI systems as well. Okay, so now let us suppose that this is the discrete time LTI system 1 upon 5 raised to the power n un. Okay, so the question is same, that you have to tell whether this system is causal and stable. So obviously this Hn is 0 for n less than equal to 0 because un is attached here. Okay, so that will mean that this system is a causal system. Okay, so you can write down that this system is a causal system. Okay, so you can just simplify it, that if you want to write its mathematical function, that this will be 1 upon 5 raised to the power n for values n greater than equal to 0, and it is 0 for n less than 0. Okay, now for stability, here you have to see that this summation should converge, that is summation Hn minus infinity to infinity. So you just put the value of Hn which is given to you in the problem. Okay, and then you will find out that this is just a simple mathematical, you can say, addition. You can do it, so this will be a finite value obviously. Okay, so this will come as 5 by 4, which is less than infinity, and which is indicating that this is a finite value. Okay, so this will mean that the given system is a stable system. Okay, now one more similar kind of problem in which the impulse response is given as 0.8 raised to the power n u of n plus 2. Okay, so again you can just see here that this Hn is not equal to 0 for n less than 0. Okay, so this means that this given system will be a non-causal system. Okay, and similarly for stability, you should try to solve this summation and find out whether this is a finite value or not. So you just put the value of Hn which is given to you in the problem itself. Okay, so you will find out from here. Okay, let me just write it completely. Obviously the limits will be modified according to the unit step signal. Okay, so this will be coming as this 5. Okay, so this will mean that this is a stable system. So this system which is given to you in the problem, this was a non-causal and a stable system. Now we will discuss an important concept in signals and systems, okay, and that is sampling. Okay, so sampling is an important phenomena in signals and systems, and it's in the importance of sampling actually it lies in its role, and it actually acts as a bridge between the continuous time signals and discrete time signals. Okay, so uh, if I just write down its definition, then sampling is the process of converting, uh, let me just write down, sampling is the process of converting a continuous time signal xt into a discrete time signal xn by measuring the amplitudes of continuous time signal xt at integer multiples of a sampling interval ts. Okay, now if I just show it with the help of graphical form, so let us just assume that this is any continuous time signal. It is represented as xt, t is its variable. Okay, so with the help of sampling, this continuous time signal can be converted into a discrete time signal in this form. Let me just first draw. So something like this will come in the sampled signal. Okay, so this will be the sampled version of the continuous time signal. So if this is t and this represents the sampling interval, okay, that is the samples are taken at a time difference of this ts units. Okay, so this signal can be represented as the sampled signals. It can be represented as xst. Okay, so this is a continuous time signal, and this signal on the right hand side is the sampled version of this continuous time signal. So this is the meaning of sampling, that it actually converts a continuous time signal into a discrete time signal by measuring the amplitudes of the continuous time signal at integer multiples. Okay, so in this signal you can see that if you just take the samples at different time instants, like let's suppose that these are the time instants. Okay, so at each of these points this signal is having different amplitude, and this is what is shown in this figure, which is on the right hand side. Now let us discuss the sampling theorem for low pass signals. Okay, so this theorem states that a band limited signal of finite energy which has no frequency components higher than omega h radian per second may be completely recovered from a knowledge of its samples if the sampling frequency omega s is greater than or equal to twice of omega h samples per radian per second, or this can also be written as fs greater than twice of hs. Okay, thus the sampling frequency omega s must be greater than or equal to twice of omega h, or it can also be written in this way that fs is greater than equal to twice of fh. Now this theorem, this sampling theorem for low pass signal actually tells you about the reconstruction of the original signal from its sampled version. Now what does it state? It states that a band limited signal, you know that what is a band limited signal, which has its boundaries. Okay, a band limited signal of finite energy which has no frequency component higher than this omega h may be completely recovered from a knowledge of its samples if the sampling frequency is in this limit, that is, it should be greater than equal to twice of omega h. That means that if there is a signal which is being sampled into a discrete time signal, then it is possible to recover the original signal from the discrete time signal, provided this condition is met. That means the sampling frequency is greater than equal to twice of omega h. And what is omega h? Omega h is the highest frequency component in the original signal. Okay, so the minimum sampling rate, or we can say the minimum sampling frequency, so you just write down here that the minimum sampling rate or minimum sampling frequency will be equal to omega s equal to twice of omega h, or fs should be equal to twice of fh. So this minimum sampling rate is referred to as the Nyquist rate. Okay, so this is referred to as Nyquist rate, and its reciprocal, that means this Ts, which is equal to 1 by omega s, or it can also be Ts equals to 2 pi over omega s, or it can be written as 1 over fs, or it can more simplified into this form. So this is called the Nyquist interval. Okay, so this Ts is called the Nyquist interval. Okay, so sampling a signal at a rate that is less than or greater than the Nyquist rate, it is called undersampling or oversampling respectively. Okay, so these are the two terms, undersampling and oversampling. Okay, so if you try to sample a signal at a rate that is less than the Nyquist rate, then that will be called as undersampling, and if sampling is done at a rate which is greater than the Nyquist rate, then that will be called as oversampling. Now let us see the problems based on these calculating the Nyquist rate. So the first signal, which is given as xt equals to sine of 200 pi t. Okay, so you have to determine the Nyquist rate. You just write down here that you have to determine the Nyquist rate for it. Okay, so how will you proceed? So if it is given to you that xt equals to sine of 200 pi t, so you just compare it with this standard form, that is xt equals to sine of omega t. Okay, so from here you can see that this omega 1 is equal to 200 pi, or if in terms of frequency you want to write, you can also write f1 should be equal to 100. Okay, now next what you have to do, that this sampling rate, or rather Nyquist rate omega s, that will be equal to twice of this omega 1, and it is nothing but 400 pi. Or if in terms of fs you want to write, then this will be equal to twice of f1, which is equal to 200 hertz. Okay, so this is the Nyquist rate for this problem. Okay, now let's see one more similar kind of problem. The signal is given to you xt equals to 1 plus cos of 200 pi t plus sine of 400 pi t. Okay, the question is same, that you have to determine the Nyquist rate for this signal. So you can just compare it with their standard form. Okay, so try to just compare these with their standard form. So a naught plus a1 cos of omega 1t. So since this is a cos, you can just compare it with a cos. The second one is a sine signal, so you just compare it with a sine signal. Okay, and denote so this will be a2 sine omega 2t. Okay, so just by comparing these, you can get omega 1 to be 200 pi and omega 2 should be equal to 400 pi. Okay, so from here now what you have to see, that if you just go back to the Nyquist rate definition, then you must see the highest frequency component in the signal. Okay, so this is one component, this is another component. So from both these two, you must see the maximum frequency which is present in the signal. So maximum frequency present in the signal xt, and that will be, if we just denote it with omega max, so that will be equal to this omega 2. Okay, which is 400 pi. So this is the maximum frequency component, 400 pi, or in terms of f max you can just write it to be 200. Okay, so the Nyquist rate will just be the double of this maximum frequency component. So omega s will be equal to twice of omega max, which will be equal to 800 pi, or in terms of fs, this will be equal to twice of f max, that will be equal to 400 hertz. Okay, so this was the last topic of this second unit. So with this much we have come to an end of this second unit, and from the next class we'll start the next unit. Thank you very much.